Right, evening all. I've just noticed starting the drive shafts. I haven't finished those, but I've done most of the other stuff which I've said, and then I should be onto the road wheels. I've got the stuff prepared as I do, all the little pins and etc. And let me shadow the lead, sorry about that. So I'm just going to assemble these together. I'll try and get a little on the camera on a little bit of a stand so you can see. It's a bit awkward otherwise, but okay, cheers. You will need a pair of pliers just to hold the shaft while you tighten the nut up on the end. You are supplied with the kit to tighten that up, and that's that. I think that's right anyway. I would like to check. That's the first piece done. Right, that's that thing there tightened up. Yeah, black thing goes on there. The bearing drops over there. Inch it down with the in. The white thing goes in between there. There's a mount for it. In between the screws there. You have another bearing there. Then you put the clip on there, which you need a pair of pliers for. There you go. Check that. That's one. Okay. There you go. While assembling the one I just showed you, what I did forget is the little 3mm washer, so I've just took it apart and put it in. And one of the reasons I remembered or realised is because I'd laid them all out here, and I suddenly realised I hadn't put the little washer on. So I hadn't put this washer on here. There you go. Sorry about my big finger, but I hadn't put that washer in. But I have now. I've stripped it back out and just took the clip off and redone it. So I've got there two. So them are the two of the shafts. There you go. That's why I lay the stuff out, and I'll feel a bit more comfortable then that you know you've got all your parts out ready, and then if there's anything missing or you've suddenly got parts, then you've missed one of the parts out. Anyway, cheers folks. It's a bag of wheels. What I've found so far is doing I'll take all the inners out first. What I've found is with a Sharpie knife, I can't do this one-handed. I just cut round a little bit round here, and what I do is I'll put that down. I don't know whether you can see that, but then these wheels are warm, by the way, they're not cold, and then I just gently pull, and I'm hopeful that they'll come off like that. Okay, then I'll go back and clean the odd bits up, because it's an inner part and two outers, so there's an indentation in the centre evidently and two outer bits, and I'll just clean those up. But that's how I've done a few of these, and I found those okay so far. And anyway, discard that bit. I don't know whether that's it. I mean, other than that, you just as you can see, it's just a question of stabbing it in, swinging it round nice and carefully, and you can go all the way around if you want, but that's what I found. But if they're warm, they peel quite carefully. You've got to be careful, because I've been told that these do crack sometimes, but that's because they're probably cold and this is quite warm. So I don't know if that's any good to anybody, or you just do the method of popping them in and cutting around with this lovely new knife I've just bought. But I'm always frightened of going through the tyre. I don't know whether you can see that, or my thumb. And just a question of turning it, if you see what I mean, and go all the way around. But I think that is as good as anything. Anyway, cheers. Alright then again, road wheels time, which I started the other day. So I'll just clip them off the sprue, I think that's what they call them. So it's B8s and B9s, as you can see. So you get a plastic bag full of these. So what I'll do is I'll clip them all off and see where we go from there. Cheers. Right, this is just I spent a little bit of time trying to sort these wheels out. I think I've had a bit of a brain fart, as you do normally when you're doing a model, and as you can see, it just says the wheels, attach rubbers, don't attach rubbers because I'm painting, so it makes 14, and as you can see here, 14, and this makes 2 here. And then you suddenly realise when you count all your wheels out, there's one missing, but there isn't one missing. They give you one extra, so they give you one extra wheel. This isn't, by the way. They give you one extra wheel to make up, and then you realise that you scratch your head and thinking, ah, well, I haven't got enough bits and pieces. Then you look, B8, B9, yeah, and then you suddenly, that's a different wheel, even though they look the same. It's C6 and C5, and C6 and C5 is on a different piece, and there they are. So you're thinking you're one short, but you've gone up one extra, and you've got 2 wheels on here, which are the idler wheels, which, silly me, didn't spot the C6. I just thought wheels, and then they cast to this side here, thinking, why? Because it was concerning that you have 2 different shafts here, so you have 14 of them shafts and 2 of them shafts. It's only a minor thing, but it threw me, and it took me half an hour or more, 3/4, just to work out why, and I suddenly realised it's different. It's different. So just a small thing, might help, might not. You might see it better than me. I'm a bit old and stupid, but I couldn't see it. But now I'm just greased them all up, and I'm putting all the screws in and doing them. I've done a couple, and those are for the new ones. The other ones I've got to do on the sprue. Anyway, cheers all. Well, that's the wheels basically done. Checked and double checked. Those are the 2 ones that sent me a bit doolally for a bit trying to find those, but as you say, they're all, don't over tighten the screws, which I haven't done. As soon as they're just a little pinch, that's all. I think those are all done, as you can see. These are going to go for painting when I get round to that. I haven't got all my paint stuff ready, but these will go for painting. They are green anyway, I'm led to believe. So, and I've still got the caps to put on. There is some caps to go on somewhere, I can't remember which side, whatever. It says C3 caps or whatever they go, unless they go over here somewhere. I've not looked yet. Okay, but evidently no rubbers on those at the moment, so I'll put those in another little box ready to go, and I'll have a look at something else in a minute. Probably the shock absorbers. There's some little tiny springs, metal bits, springs, etc. Okay, cheers folks. There's the bell. Hi again. Jumping backwards and forwards a bit, but I've just looked at some of the lower case sections, and I was going to try and put in on page 14, 16 the torsion bars and bits and pieces, so I'm just trying to organise those. I have found sorting the screws out a little bit difficult, so well, if you don't mind me saying, I'll point them out. When you looked on there, it was MB6 and there's 14 of them, and they're approximately 8 mil. Well, there's as you can see here, there's a couple of different sorts. That is about the same length actually, but slightly longer. And I think the 14 screws are these with a very smaller head. which fit quite comfortably in these. Of course, if I could pick one up and put one in to show you. Right, which looks quite good in there. I don't think it's these bigger ones. There's more of them, a lot more of them, and there is 14 of these, and they are approximately 8mm, which is what they're supposed to be. Same as them are only approximations. So I'm going to go on for those with a smaller head. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, sorry to waffle on, but evidently it's important to try and get it right. It does say MB6s, which is MB6s, as you can see, with a small flat head there. And then the MB2s, which I'm looking at, and MB3s. There is a few others. So it is important, and some of these are left hookers as well. So anyway, I'm going to try and get a few bits and pieces done in the lower, is it lower hull? Whatever. Anyway, cheers. Right, this is how, these are all individually marked. They should be the right way up. There's a little mark on the top of each one of these little black markers, whatever you call them, excuse me, bearings. You put a bearing on there like that, making sure it's that way up, because it's all marked, because they're all handed. That will then slide into the V8 side down here and rest there, oopsie daisy, over that. That bearing then sits there, and then the same as that bearing which I've done here. I haven't put the outer bearings here, which you can pop in, because they'll all fall out as I say, moving the chassis. So I've just clipped that one in there that holds the torsion bar, once it's all clipped in of course. Then I've just put this one in, which is V8. They're all numbered and they all go down in a number down each side, so I'm just going down one each side. And that's what I'm doing, and making sure when you cut these off they are marked at the top. You can't see it on the camera, but on the top of each one is the number itself, which is V 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. So I've done 1 and 8, so I'm holding them like that, and then snip off this one, which will correspond to the next one this side. Then I'll snip off that one, which will correspond to the next one that side, and as I go down I'll clip them all in. But as I say, I won't put the brass bearings in until these are all in, and then I can do it at a later date, otherwise they're just going to drop out as soon as you touch the vehicle. Anyway, hopefully that's clearish. Anyway, thank you. There you go. So making sure those are all the right way around. I've just double checked. Don't over tighten, easy enough to do. I've got big hand fists, and so you can tend to over tighten them, but these still move, by the way. But you can get the bearings in when you're ready to do something else with it, so there's not much of a problem at the moment. I did order some ball bearings, or the bearing type, but they won't be coming till December, end of December, January. But there's a possibility of me slipping the ball bearing ones into here, if they'll go, and take the brass ones. So there you go. But that's the only update I've done so far, or will do. Cheers. Hi again. This is I dip in and out because I'm trying to get as much done as on the chassis part, which is I was just messing about with this, which is I think it's the hull, whatever. Anyway, this black box here sits inside the hull, and it's the speaker, etc. It fits in there, and then the top goes on, and like that. And the reason I was doing this is just because as a doodle, evidently it's quite heavy at the back end with the motors, and it's not so heavy on the front section, and I've heard on one or two little forums that, you know, it's nice to have a little bit more weight on the vehicle to give it a bit more realism. Well, I've ordered some of these, which are the sticky weights that they stick on tyres, on wheels. I've had a box come this morning. Can't believe how small the box is and how heavy it is. These are just peel off and stick. I've got my Sharpie knife, and what I was going to do is, just as a doodle while I'm messing about, I'm just doing some of the suspension parts, is remove that, of course, and I'm going to stick some in here to put a bit of weight in here. This just screws in. There's plenty of clearance. All that goes in there is wires and one speaker, and the speaker fits underneath. Nothing else in there. So rather than have the weight right at the back end, I'll put some weight on the front end as well, and see how that goes. You can always scratch it out, and I'll put some on the front in here, which you don't see, of course, and there's nothing else goes in here. So I'll plod on and do a bit of that. Cheers. Right, we're doing the shock absorbers. 2 sets of 4, one left and one right, so there's 10 in total. I have all the springs, as you say, which is those there, and they are separated, number 16 and number 15, and I've marked these, which is number 4 and number 7, which are the left and right as well. So as it says, 4 of each and then 1 of each. So just got to keep these a little bit different, that's all. So I'll do the one side, which is this one first, and then I'll do the other side. Clear as mud. Anyway, cheers. Right, they're all glued up, one side, the other side, left and right, and I've left marker there, number 4, number 7. They're just drying now. So, and those are the other 2 items that will be glued onto the chassis. So that's it, just let them dry and see how we go from there. Cheers. There you go. So making sure those are all the right way around. I've just double checked. Don't over tighten, easy enough to do. I've got big hand fists, and so you can tend to over tighten them, but these still move, by the way, but you can get the bearings in when you're ready to do something else with it. So not much of a problem at the moment. I did order some ball bearings, or the bearing type, but they won't be coming till December, end of December, January. But there's a possibility of me slipping the ball bearing ones into here, if they'll go, and take the brass ones. So there you go. But that's the only update I've done so far, or will do. Cheers. Hi again. This is I dip in and out because I'm trying to get as much done as on the chassis part, which is I was just messing about with this, which is I think it's the hull, whatever. Anyway, this black box here sits inside the hull, and it's the speaker, etc. It fits in there, and then the top goes on, and like that. And the reason I was doing this is just because as a doodle, evidently it's quite heavy at the back end with the motors, and it's not so heavy on the front section. And I've heard on one or two little forums that, you know, it's nice to have a little bit more weight on the vehicle to give it a bit more realism. Well, I've ordered some of these, which are the sticky weights that they stick on tyres, on wheels. I've had a box come this morning. Can't believe how small the box is and how heavy it is. These are just peel off and stick. I've got my Sharpie knife, and what I was going to do is, just as a doodle while I'm messing about, I'm just doing some of the suspension parts, is remove that, of course, and I'm going to stick some in here to put a bit of weight in here. This just screws in. There's plenty of clearance. All that goes in there is wires and one speaker, and the speaker fits underneath. Nothing else in there. So rather than have the weight right at the back end, I'll put some weight on the front end as well, and see how that goes. You can always scratch it out, and I'll put some on the front in here, which you don't see of course, and there's nothing else goes in here, so I'll plod on and do a bit of that. Cheers. Right, I thought I'd do the return rollers. They're just a question of putting the screw in. Haven't you done over tight and very, just so it just nips it, that's it. Doesn't have to be tight, you want the roller to move, because I want to get this on so I can undercoat, and then I can pick out the rollers in black and the rest in green, of course, NATO. So that's the little one done. So I've got 4 of those to do, 4 of the larger return rollers, with a little bit of grease on the sort of screw, thread, etc. Cheers. Right, attach the little bits here, suspension, done the other side as well. I'll call it the return wheels or something, I can't remember which ones they are. I'm not very technical on models. So that's both sides done. As you can see, a bit of a strange view, but there you go. So that's going to be dried and left. I've still got to put the little end caps in here. Just checking the bloody wheels are the right way around. I've got to put the little hubcaps in here, which I will do, and then I can spray that, I think. Anyway, cheers. Onwards and upwards. There's some whites which I've put in. Okay.